Tell us about your relationship with Richie Incognito. In an NFL.com piece, Incognito talked about a conversation he had with you in 2010 when you guys were teammates in Miami, and he said that he wanted you to help him with his anger issues. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, Richie came to Miami in 2010, and I played a year with him, and he had a history behind him of getting in trouble on the field and off the field. Usually, something people attributed to his temper or his anger. And when he came to Miami, I kind of put his history aside and tried to get to know him as a person. And I liked Richie, and he's a fiery guy, and he loves to play football. He's a physical guy. But as far as seeing him do anything that was problematic or troublesome, in the year that I spent with him, I never saw it.
Does it surprise you, this allegation from the team for suspended for being for conduct detrimental to the team?
Well, not much surprises me in the things that go on in the NFL because a lot of what they do is really for public opinion, and I think these allegations come out, and everything is kind of blamed on Richie. It puts the Dolphins in a difficult spot. And this whole event is really a bit of a black eye to the team, definitely to Richie, and I think also to the NFL. And so it seems like they go into save face mode to try to quiet things down so they can focus on the game they have this week.
How much is hazing part of the NFL culture? I know it's part of college football. I know it's part of high school football. How much of it shows itself in professional football?
Much less than people would think. My rookie year, 1999. There had been an event in the previous year in New Orleans, and Coach Dick at the time got up in front of the team and he told us, he said, there will be no hazing in this camp. He said, if there's any hazing, the person that does the hazing and the person who gets hazed are both out of here. And that set the tone for me right away. And really, I haven't seen very much hazing. There are certain traditions, like when rookies come in, especially if they're high draft picks, that they'll take their position group or the offense or the defense out to dinner and foot the bill. But that's more of a rite of passage, and I wouldn't consider that hazing.
So the idea that he was being made to pay $15,000 for a trip to Vegas he didn't go on, that wouldn't surprise you so much, nor would you necessarily think it was all that rough a thing or all that abnormal.
Well, playing in the NFL, like the things that I've seen, none of it really surprises me. I mean, the one thing that jumps out at me is really the NFL isn't for everyone. And there's certain people, and I was one of the people, I had these ideas and expectations about what the NFL would be, and then once I got there, I saw that it wasn't what I thought. And so for me, I see this kid, a very intelligent kid, his parents are attorneys, he went to Stanford, and he had these expectations about what the NFL would be. And if you look at his career, he really hasn't had as much success as he's wanted to have, and things have been tough. And I'm sure things that got out of hand with him and Richie, and now we are where we are.
What do you think the NFL and these coaches, what should they really be doing, forgetting how it looks to the media and the public?
Well, it's one of these things where the NFL it's really like a closed fraternity. And it's one of the things that it's really not made for everyone. There's certain people that can play in the NFL, and there's certain people that can't. And once you sign that contract, there's a lot of rules, written and unwritten, that you're expected to follow. So for me, this is something that should be handled internally, and I don't think the media, I don't think fans, I don't think anyone outside is really in a position to really fully understand what occurs inside of a locker room and inside of a football team.